Hello, hello. Today, something a little bit different, talking to you from our little farm in Colombia. Hope you enjoy. Hello, hello, hello from Colombia, South America. Hi, I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey. And if someone can please let me know that you can see and hear me, because you should see the setup we've got rigged here to try to do. Yay! Thank you, DH. Okay, so hey, Cassandra. This is a little bit different, something a little bit different. I'm at our little coffee farm in an area of the state of Risaralda, which is a state or a departamento de Colombia. Fun fact, it's spelled Colombia, but we're in the kind of the what would maybe be the county, it's not really even that formal, known as La Sombra. And our little farm, our little finquita is here. We just call it La Sombra to let us know where we're going, and the casita, which is right over there. And I'm standing under a canopy. I'm probably looking in shadow, but it's the this that's east, and so the sun is coming up, and so there's a lot of backlight. So I apologize if the video is harder to see. In a minute, I'm going to take you for a little, try to take you for a tour. This setup, this I'm on a computer, will not be able to show you the real beauty of the valley below. So we overlook a valley that goes to the next mountain range, and then you can see the next mountain range beyond that. And this morning, my husband points out that yonder in the distance was, we could see Nevado de Ruiz, which is a dormant, ice capped volcano. And it was there. He said he's never seen it here when he's been here before. So that's cool. All right, let me jump in. And thank you for being here. Thank you for coming along with this ride with me. You know, shoot. Hold, please. Nothing. I have an incense burning and I knocked it over. My husband rigged it up like, good morning, perro. This, because there are mosquitoes. So it's incense for mosquitoes. So hold, please. By the way, mosquitoes much better this year. I slept last night for the first time under better that has mosquito netting, which my husband kindly set up. Much better. And then I've got picaridin, which Karen from Utah recommended because she's lived in Alaska and she visits Alaska, and they have a giant mosquito issue in Alaska. Not only is the issue giant, the mosquitoes are giant. So she recommended picaridin. Anywho, yay! Hey, Deborah. What was I going to say? I can't remember. So usually I talk about keto and, how many carbs. First of all, for those of you who don't know, the way I learned and have practiced the ketogenic protocol for over 11 years is keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. If it's down on page 4, link below, don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Hardest part. Stop eating when you've had enough. Second hardest part. For me, even hardest part, don't eat more patacones than you can tolerate, because I love the patacones and I've had some here. And I'm wearing very large loose clothing because I've learned that mosquitoes, I wore everything wrong the last couple of visits here on the farm. In town, there's not a mosquito issue down in Pereira, which is an urban center, but there are mosquitoes here. So I was wearing strapless things because I thought it'd be hot. It's not, it's temperate. And I was wearing dark colors because that's what I wear. Nope, wrong. And I was wearing synthetics, wrong. So now I have a giant cotton shirt, light colored, because mosquitoes like dark. Okay, moving on. Does anyone have any questions, by the way? First of all, I am still in ketosis, even with eating the patacones, but I am turning down additional patacones, which is difficult. The view here is beautiful. And Karen had, when I was mentioning something in a morning snippet for the patrons, something about I was in town at Amparos with my husband's cousins, and Pereira is a very densely populated urban city, about 600,000 people, but geographically it's about the size of my city, Greensboro, which has 200,000 people, so it's very dense. And Karen commented, Coming, I always think of you when you're in Colombia in the middle of nowhere. Well, we're in the middle of nowhere now. I mean, there are people around, and you can hear traffic maybe in the background from down in the holler. There's roads, but I did take some footage yesterday of the car drive to get here. Ay, ay, ay. And it's been raining a lot and stuff. So, does anyone? Oh, so Kimberly asks, what time is your time? Um, Actually, we're in the same. It's it's 9:05 here. It's 10:05 there. Interesting fun fact. I always thought of, like, before I came here, even years after I was married to my husband, I assumed like Colombia was like on Pacific Standard Time. No, Bogota and Boston are almost exactly the same longitude. So it's the time is different here because Colombia does not participate in daylight saving time. So when it's Eastern Standard Time, when it's Standard Time, it's the same time. So thank you for that. Oh, and Karen writes, I just packed my big cotton shirt because of you mentioning that. We leave tomorrow for Alaska. Safe travels. Let me get some of the comments here. And because this, I didn't really have a topic today, just kind of freeform. Suzanne writes, hello from the beach, Emerald Isle, North Carolina. And Karen writes, here with fingers crossed, what a wonderful visit for Casey. Writes DH. Ange, what time is it there for you, Casey? Same question. Kimberly writes, hello, I'm looking forward to this meeting from Columbia. I can hear you. Great. DHA, yippee, and smiley faces, and Deborah Rundle, yes, and just packed my cotton shirt. And what is it your time? So we're now all caught up on those comments. Let me see. Let me, I don't know how large our farm is acreage wise. This is not a large farm, but it's productive. And we sell coffee and plantain. I don't think we sell limes, but there's guajava right there. There's a tree with all the fruit having fallen off. Let me see if I can do this. Now, it's going to be difficult for me to see the screen when I get in the sun. So just be patient with me. And if you get seasick, be careful because I'm going to take you on a little tour if I can. So here we go. First of all, I don't know if you can see. Oh, the clouds have rolled in. So let me see. The clouds have rolled in. There's a valley here, and we really just watched it roll in this morning. It's really a beautiful thing. And you can see down the valley, but now we're actually above the clouds. Let me see if I can take you somewhere else. Well, what the heck? I'm going to show you. Here's the porch of La Casita Fea. That was here when we came here. We'll be making wholesale changes to the situation. But there we are, part of it. And goes way up, the farm goes way up yonder. I haven't even walked up there yet. And then if you can see, there are plantain trees. These are coffee plants, right? Right here. You know, nothing goes wasted here, not a square foot of land. There's something planted pretty much everywhere, even when you're traveling between towns and cities. And I'm under this, also this thing that was here. It's not really gazebo, but it was here when we got here. Okay. Deborah Rundle writes, it is so cute. The farm is cute. The house is a happy place. It is not attractive. I have often said, the people who built this, okay, it was built by the previous owner we bought it from, he was like an accountant. And I think all of his friends were probably accountants. And apparently they decided one weekend or two to build a house. None of them knowing how to build a house and with no plans. And they were probably all drunk at the time because this is not a well-designed house, but we're making it work. And my lovely mate has made some changes with me in mind, and I wholeheartedly appreciate it. So bit by bit, we will probably totally change the structure of this, and that might be a very interesting series of videos for you guys to come along the question. Now, food-wise, it is not difficult at all to follow this protocol here. It might be easier than in some places. As a matter of fact, my husband has a cousin. He's from a very large family of origin. So he's got many, many, many cousins and then second cousins. He has a cousin first cousin who is vegetarian. He has a harder time getting the food he wants than we do. But he does. He just has to ask for special things. Oh, let me see what we've got. Our hummingbird came by and visited us this morning. We have a family of several families of parrots that have nests up in here. They might have been chased off, but blue and green parrots that live here, and then they live in the wires and make nests everywhere. It's fascinating. I mean, just things I'm not used to seeing where I come from. So the food is easy. Patacones is a dish, and I've talked about it before. It's not on page 4, but not every food. You have to find your own tolerance. So I have found, well, I haven't found it because I haven't been out of ketosis, but I'm not playing around. So patacones are made from green, very unripe plantains. And you cut them into chunks, and then you throw it in the oil, and then you take it out of the oil, and you smash it down with something called a patacone smasher. And then you salt them and throw them back in the oil for a minute, and they come out and they're delicious. They're my favorite. So I've not had trouble with that. There's plenty of meat. You can get salads. Avocados are ubiquitous. Not hard to do. You just have to not eat the arepas and the potatoes and the rice and the beans and those things, just like you do anywhere. That is no different than going to a fast food restaurant in anywhere in the Western world and getting a Whopper meal and pulling off the bun, right? And eating the meat and the cheese and maybe, the onions and a little bit of, jalapeno if you get it that way. And don't eat the French fries. My biggest challenge during travel this time was I did something I've not had happen before. It was not food. I didn't really eat. I had a long day of travel coming from Greensboro to Pereira by way of Miami and Bogota. And I hadn't eaten, which was fine. But I became dehydrated. And I was in Bogota, and I thought I was going to pass out. Seriously. Not from lack of food. I just hadn't, I'd had a couple of cups of coffee. I had a cup of coffee on the airplane. I had a cup of coffee on the next airplane. I hadn't had a sip of water. And I'd done a little bit of running around and stuff, to get to the things. So I was talking to my husband. I thought I was going to pass out. I was in Bogota waiting to take the plane to Pereira. And he said, get something to eat. Well, I'm looking around. And in the airport, it's just like any other airport. You've got places where you can get donuts and croissant and sandwiches and hoagies and cookies. I was wondering, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I found one place in the airport in Bogota. It was called Dogger, Dogger. They sell hot dogs. And I leaned on the counter. I was going to pass out. I knew it wasn't from hunger, but I needed to get something in my stomach anyway. So I asked for a hot dog in Spanish with no bread, no pan, sin pan. Hot dog. One hot dog? Yes. And a fork, which they didn't have. They only had skewers because most people get the hot dog in the big hoyuba. So I got that with a little sauerkraut and a Coke Zero. The Coke Zero did me more good than anything, but I ate the hot dog. But it's not hard to do. We just have to seek it out. And also, being hungry is not the hardest thing in the world. It's not a tragedy. Yeah, I was hungry and I enjoyed eating when I got to Amato's house. They had food waiting for me, okay, of course. They had fried pork belly and patacones, and I was very happy. All right. So if anyone wants to pin a comment, if you want to, it's like kind of a quiet crowd today, which I understand, but I hope you can still hear me and see me. And does anything you've always wanted to know? For instance, I assumed before I came down here that being at the farm, it would be hot. No, it's nice. It's very pleasant. Being at this farm is pretty much year round, mid 50s to low 70s. It's overcast, it's sunny. There are rainbows, it drizzles. There are thunderstorms, it's sunny. But the temperature's pretty temperate. So what happens here, I'm going to show you something if I can show it to you. So there's a farm family, Miguel, Majorly, y Simon. Simon is the little son. That lives in the farmhouse. This is not the farmhouse that I showed you. Farmhouse has been around a long time. Thank you. Can still see and hear you. Thank you, Scott. At 9:14 a.m. Thank you. Very precise. So the farmhouse is dim. Let me see if I can take you on a little tour. This would be easier if I wasn't doing a live stream because I would take the video and then I would narrate. And I would take you and then there kinds of all plants here and things are. Now let me see if I can get situated. Hope you can hear me and hope you're seeing something and hope you're not seasick. So let's see. All right, you see that structure? That structure is the end of the farmhouse. And then there's a roof here. There's actually a terrace. I might go down there and take some video from off that terrace. And Marjorie is painting the house. Do you see over here, this blue? That is the metal roof of the casilla, which is where coffee is brought and it dries. The casilla, the blue roof, it has a motor where it can be set to open and close. So you close it, obviously, when it's drizzling, and the coffee is laid out on the floor of the casilla. And when it's sunny and it's time to dry it, because you pick the coffee beans, but you dry them because you get more money for that. So the casilla roof goes, opens, sun comes down, the coffee is all laid out. It's huge. It's like, half a football field size. And then when it gets dried properly, and they can kind of tell, Miguel and Marjorie and anyone else who might be here bags it into canvas bags, binds it up, takes it into town, sells the coffee. So I'm going to try to get some footage of the coffee being picked and then some more of the process. The drying process is iffy because it depends on whether it's raining or not. It looks and sounds beautiful. Thank you. It's very cool, and I have learned a lot. And I'm going to tell you something, not for nothing. People work, and people on farms work the world over. But there are no such thing as automatic coffee pickers here. There are no combines. It's bean by bean by hand. I don't think it's even called coffee beans. They're called, I can't remember. They're not the bean when they're the fruits. They're the coffee fruits. Hand by hand, because the coffee plants don't get very tall. You don't want them to get tall. And Miguel will go through and he won't pick them all. He doesn't just rip them off, and put them in a bag, because that doesn't do. He might have to go to the same coffee plants several times to finally get all the things. And it's on an incline. We're in the Andes Mountains. Everything's on an incline. And I'll tell you, after my first trip here, I realized I haven't worked a day in my life. I mean, we're taking the rough road into Apia, which is the next closest town, and there are old people, male and female, hunched over with giant bags of plantain or coffee or whatever it might be, walking along the dirt road, not in a car or a truck like we have, and they're carrying it to market. And it's a long way. It's only about 6 miles from here to Apia. Not even as the bird flies. In the car, it's about 6 miles. It takes 20 minutes because of the roads. So anyway, I posted a video about selling our coffee, and just a little tiny short video. Just even the people who take the bags of coffee from our truck to the coffee buyer, the broker, that's work. So next time you're enjoying a nice cup of joe, think about the workers. Is it a continual harvest or seasonal? Thank you for the question, Karen. This is actually harvest season. Sadly, it's also been a very, very rainy season. Harvest season, rainy season coincide. But my husband and everyone else says this has been an unusually rainy season. So the workers just work in the rain. The problem is drying the coffee. It's not a continual harvest. I think there are a couple of harvests a year. Now, plantain, that's pretty much year round. It's a real cash crop. And plantain, everyone eats plantain at almost every meal here. Why do they throw a cloth over the shoulder before they throw the bag to carry it? Good question, because it's burlap, it's heavy, and sometimes there's mucilage. Depending on the situation, there could be a bit of moisture. but it might scratch them. Plus, they're breathing and all this stuff, and you never know what's coming in off those bags. So, just for comfort, because they're doing that all day long. And these are heavy bags of coffee. Um, and there's can be varying amounts of moisture. You're paid higher the drier the coffee, but not too dry. It has to be just right. So, yeah, and they take it off the trucks and they put it on the scale, and then they have to take all of that off and take it to the back, and and they're very gracious. Like I said in the thing, they offered me coffee, and they made a joke. One of the guys was making a joke, and one of the guys was kind of covering his face with a cloth, and the other ones were laughing. He says he talking about me in Spanish. I mean, to me in Spanish, said he's covering his face because he's afraid he's going to break your camera with his face. How long have you had the farm? Asks Cassandra. Well, let me see. 2 years, my husband says. My producer is inside the house. He's watching. 2 years. We closed on it. And this is my third trip. I came by and saw it once on my first trip to Colombia. Saw it, and that was an unusual day because a different family had been hired to work there, and that was not a good situation. And I'd never seen this, and it was culture shock. I'm not going to lie. It's culture shock. Being in Parade is culture shock. And I do want to make a comment. A kind person under one of my videos when the coffee harvest mentioned something because I took really quick footage of just town, and someone commented, "Oh my gosh, this is so eye-opening to see people living in such poverty." I don't think they look at us living in poverty. It's just different. There's food on the table, there's a roof over the head, there's music. Yeah, it's hard work, but it's not poverty. You know, there are very poor sections, just as there are in my county, my very upper middle class county. There are very poor sections. So that's the same world round. But I mean, we went down to the farm family, and I would say they live modestly in that old farmhouse, and we pay well for, but it's modest. But it doesn't mean as bad. It's just different, right? And let's face it, a lot of us have a lot of decadence in our lives. Kimberly asked, how big is the little house? Do you have a proper kitchen? Loaded question. No, I absolutely do have a proper kitchen. Why is it a proper kitchen? Because there's running water. There is a 2-burner propane cooktop. And my husband just built some shelves, and there's counters. And we have a little fridge with a little bit of a freezer. We were looking at fridges in town. So we have a conversation to have about that. For an actual, not a huge fridge, but more of an actual fridge. This was like a dorm fridge. And the little house, I would say, I can't tell you, but the footprint of it is large enough. We're going to add a second floor, mostly for the view, to get elevated. You start to realize how much you don't need in my home, my lovely home in North Carolina. I mean, I enjoy it, but boy, I've got a cooktop. My husband makes delicious meals. He cooked me dinner last night. Propane, some pots and pans. What about water? There is water. It's from the aqueduct. We boil it just to be cautious. And our next fridge will have a water filter, as our fridge in North Carolina does. Oh, DH writes, yes, they don't view it as poverty. I have a son who lives in Madagascar, and he says the same thing. Hardworking people who are happier than most Americans, or some Americans, than some French people, than some, right? Western culture, so-called. My father always said cost of living doesn't go so much up so much as standard of living. I'm very comfortable here. Like a couple of things changed. We don't have a washing machine. There is, as in every property, even including Amparos, that's in a gated townhouse community. It's called a lavero. Nanchi, is it called a lavero? Lavadero. where you hand wash. It's a sink designed specifically to hand wash clothes. We don't have a washing machine. We're not going to have one probably for a very long time if we do. But I've got a lavadero, which is outside, running water, soap called jabonre, and wash, wash, wash. I've already used it. Clothesline, hang it up. Not a big deal. But the water's fine. We do boil it, as I said, just to be cautious. Fortunately, like last night I made a martini. Didn't have to worry about the water. This morning I'm going to have a Bloody Mary. My first Bloody Mary. We bought some nice glasses. So it's actually kind of fun to nest this place. And my husband and I were talking about it. We don't need to do everything immediately like we thought we needed to do when we first got married and immediately were pregnant. We thought we needed to do all the things. No, I can wait. I can wait on the fridge. I can wait for maybe never for a washing machine. We'll see about a television set. Thanks for the tour of the farm, writes Scott. It makes it easier to picture you being there. Can I tell you something? Being here made it much easier for me to be calm when my husband's here because now I know where he is. He shares his ETA on Apple Maps. He can talk about, oh, that place where we ate lunch that time? Karen writes, oh, I love clotheslines. My daughter would shoot me if I hung a clothesline, her property. But I was raised with one in Kansas. Again, the nice high-end gated community townhouse with Amparo. Paula, the housekeeper, they have a washing machine. She hangs the clothes to dry in this area that's kind of designed for it with a quasi-translucent ceiling. I mean, it keeps the water out, but they can open it to let the sun shine in to dry. That's just what you get used to. Now that I'm conquering the mosquitoes, that has made a big difference. Bit by bit. And it can be exciting. As long as my husband and I don't kill each other in the meantime. Right? Right? Thank you guys for coming along. Thank you so much for the questions. If you have any, I'm happy to keep talking. I generally cut these off at about 30 minutes. If you're watching this on replay, I have a private support group on Patreon. These Crowdcast live streams are open to the public, but I have a private support group on Patreon where I do video snippets every weekday morning, including from Colombia, topics often suggested by patrons. And I very much appreciate that. I've got some Go Keto with KC merch, which you can see linked below and all that stuff. And I really appreciate it. If nothing else, if you like what you hear, subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Helps me just trying to earn my keep. DH writes, I am so enjoying this post. Brings back memories for me on my travels. Scott, I believe you have shared that you've traveled quite a bit. And then have you not had the same there's the neighbor, the farm's dog. I can't remember her name. She's a puppy. And they're chickens. They would have been walking because we don't know who owns the chickens. Some farm somewhere else owns chickens. They come along, they walk by. We hear the rooster. I don't know where they lay their eggs. We might get some chickens for here, and then the farm family can have the eggs and keep them up when we're not here. But I think Scott has through his ministry and everything else has seen things that many of us don't see, and it does give us perspective on our blessings and compassion for other people. Something that might be considered lacking. A little puppy. All right, friends. Although, unless anyone has a question, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to share. I don't know whether I'll be at the farm next weekend. If I do another live stream, maybe we'll be in Bed 8 or maybe we'll be somewhere else. I don't know. But I'm really happy that this worked out. I'm excited about it. I appreciate my husband setting up this very MacGyver setup. The incense is still burning. Oh, by the way, this incense. This is, I think it's Murphy's mosquito incense. They come in cones. They come in these things. My husband stuck this in here this morning. And we just put it on, like we had the window open. There's no screens, which I prefer. But we were sitting there having dinner. I lit a couple of these. They don't have any aroma. Didn't feel a mosquito at all. Plus, of course, I'm zapped myself with a lot of stuff. Mosquitoes. And I have had my yellow fever vaccination, by the way. Which, excuse me, I'm putting that down. Everything's at an angle. Which, because of climate change, the mosquitoes that can carry yellow fever have gotten higher and higher. It used to be was only in the jungle. Now they've encountered it like not real super close to here, but at these higher elevations. So I got my yellow fever vaccination. No issues. Cassandra writes, I'm really enjoying this and I'm happy for you to keep going. Well, thank you very much. You know, I have talked a couple of times about the Beyond Keto with Casey because someone was very frank to say, "Yeah, I'm good about Beyond Keto with Casey because, frankly, hearing the same thing over and over is boring. Not that I'm boring, but the message doesn't change. So it's like having a channel on the perfect way to hard boil an egg. Well, once you've kind of learned it, which I do, there's only so much to say. Oh, well, where's that YouTube channel going to go? So thank you for the encouragement and the support, and I really appreciate it. And I'm going to try to, now the clouds are really rolling in, I'm going to try to get some really good footage of the panorama. You can see this wire right here. That is from an electrical tower that's over there. That's going to be rerouted so as to not obscure my view. And then we're going to have fun. Like I said, as long as we don't kill each other in the process of remodeling this house, because you know how remodels go. All right, friends. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer. Total.net. If it's on page 4, link below. Don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop eating when you've had enough. Be patient and persevere and be open to things and try not to find the reason you can't do something, but figure out the way you will do it. That's been a big lesson for me, and not just about the food. Scott writes, yes, I think that every American would benefit from travel outside the country. Yep. Okay. Well, oh, by the way, I'm quasi peckish. I have not eaten any solid food this morning. I've had 2 cups of coffee with cream. And I'm not particularly peckish, so I kind of update my patrons on that and my peckishness level. Sardines, writes Scott. And DH writes, yes. And for those of you who don't know about sardines, I'll go over it another time. Thank you very, very much. I'm tickled that this worked out. And I will see you whenever I see you next. Be at peace and make it a meaningful day. Thanks. Bye.